Hey, thanks for watching. Excuse the poor lighting, I'm taking this video at night. Usually I like to shoot in the daytime, but I just want you to watch this clip I took from the mainstream news on ABC about the milk and radiation.
Beginning with America's milk and that radiation from Japan, all day we have heard the reassurances that the radiation now being found in some of the U.S. milk supply is minimal and poses no risk. So we spent this day answering some serious questions. Since the radiation in some form has been found in 20 states, exactly how much has been linked to the milk and how are the experts sure that it's safe? ABC's Abby Boudreau is at a lab in San Bernardino, California tonight. Abby.
Diane, with radiation still leaking from the reactors in Japan, tonight there's growing concern in California that radiation may end up in our milk supply. Environmental Laboratory in Montgomery, Alabama. This lab is the front line of defense, where the government's been working around the clock to track radiation levels in milk produced all over the United States. That fresh milk could end up on your table within a few days. The levels of radioactive iodine detected in milk in Washington and California so far are minuscule. The government says 5,000 times lower than what the FDA considers a public health concern. And iodine breaks down quickly. Even if a quart of milk in your refrigerator contained trace amounts, it would deplete by half in just 8 days. As the nuclear crisis in Japan continues, the EPA has also increased radiation monitoring in drinking water, rain, and snow. But it's the milk that has people in California concerned today, despite assurances of its safety.
Radiation in the United States does concern me, and I would consider cutting back on my milk consumption or not drinking it at all.
So how does radiation all the way from Japan get into milk in the U.S.? It all starts from radioactive dust particles blown over from Japan. They land on grass in the U.S. Cows eat that grass, and small traces of radiation then end up in the milk.
From the time the cow produces the milk and the farmer collects the milk till it gets to your table is not very long. It's a matter of a few days.
Inside this California lab, we bring our own jug of milk to be tested. It takes up to 48 hours to get the results. They're used to weeding out salmonella, pesticides, hormones, and E. coli.
I would be more concerned about milk which is not handled properly and gets spoiled.
More concerned about spoiled milk than the radiation levels. Wow.
Dr. Kindy says unless radiation levels get higher, people should not be too alarmed. The government has stepped up its plan to test. It used to test quarterly, now it tests weekly, and they tell us they have no plans to slow down. Diane?
All right, Abby, thank you. I want to bring in our own Dr. Richard Besser now. So, Rich, talk to us as a doctor tonight. Is it safe? Would you say to us it is safe?
Diane, the milk is safe. As a doctor, as your friend, I can tell you these levels of radiation are not harmful. I drank milk this morning, as did my boys, and there's no reason to stop based on this.
Nonetheless, we think if there's even a speck of radiation and anything and we can avoid it, we should.
Well, these are great tests. I get some comfort out of the fact that they can detect such a small level of radiation, because it tells me if the levels start to rise, they're going to pick it up before it causes any harm, any health side effects.
And how long before we can stand down on this whole issue?
Well, until they get the reactor under control, you need to monitor. You're going to see an increase in radiation in the air before you would see a further increase in milk or water.
All right, Dr. Richard Besser, thank you. Good to have you here tonight. And we turn now to...
Welcome back. Hopefully you paid attention to that video. If not, listen to it again after watching this. What they're saying is the milk is infected with radiation from Japan. First of all, can you believe that bullshit? What's happening in Japan and in Fukushima is affecting us right here in America. From New York to California, it's been detected radiation. So that means it's been everywhere if it's on both coasts. It's just a matter of having the detectors to detect it. But could you actually believe that the food supply is going to get infected in some form? So you get the milk. And I like how the mainstream media, first of all, they're lying to you. They're not going to tell you the truth if it is dangerous or what levels it is. Notice they didn't tell you what level it is. They didn't say like, oh, it's point this, or point that. They didn't give you technical terms and technical statistics. So let's say, and hopefully it is trace amounts, what they're not telling you is the Japanese reactors are still going off, still emitting fumes that might be emitting fumes for months. These reactors are still not under control, and the more they're not under control, the more they're leaking gases that can get in the atmosphere and keep traveling to us in America. Okay? And here's the thing. If these gases keep emitting, that means the contamination is going to keep building up and building up and building up. Maybe slowly but surely, it's going to keep more and more and more. Unless you close it, then it will stop, but it's keep going. And here's the thing. When I talk about what they didn't tell you about the radiation is, oh sure, it's no big deal. But here's my question to you. Would you rather be drinking milk or eating food that has radiation at a low level? Or would you rather be drinking milk and having food that has no radiation? Would you rather have food that has some radiation or food with no radiation? You decide. What do you want? And sure, they say it's low level, but what they didn't tell you is radiation is accumulative damage. It means it builds up in your body. So you have a micro particle or whatever, right? Percent that you didn't have before Japan. No big deal, your body can handle it. So let's say next week you get a little microparticle, another one. No deal, right? And then as time goes on, a little microparticle, a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. So what started as something that doesn't affect you, over time, all this little extra damage builds up, and builds up. And then guess what happens? It affects you. And the thing that even I'm no radiation expert, and chances are you are not either. The thing that happens is accumulative damage. You don't know the cause how this will affect you 10, 20, 30 years from now. Maybe people who would have had a normal life to 90 years die at 70. Maybe people who would have lived to 80 die at 50 because of the damage and of what's going on now. You don't know how this is going to affect you or affect people 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. And I know I can't piece the cause and effect together, and probably you can't either. How are you going to know, let's say, if someone gets, God forbid, sick or ill and dies at 50 or 60 and has damage in their body, and you just think it's natural that it just happened, right? It was just nothing to do with Fukushima, nothing to do with radiation. So the person dies at 50 or 60, and you just think it's natural, it just happened, they got ill from whatever, right? But what you didn't know and what I didn't know is that that person got accumulative damage and got ill from radiation maybe 10, 20, 30 or 40 years ago in his life or her life, and then it caught up to them decades later. Because as people, we like to have cause and effect that's clear and visible. Let's say a person falls and they hurt their elbow. Okay, the cause, the falling and the elbow getting hurt, that was the effect. It's one-to-one, it's clear. You understand that. Now in this example, let's say a person falls, hits their elbow is fine. It's perfectly fine. But then 30, 40 years later, their elbow hurts and they don't remember why their elbow hurts. Because they were fine for 30 or 40 years. Well, the elbow is hurting 40 years later because of something that happened 40 years before. You see, using that example is the best way to explain radiation. That you're living life normally, person might get ill 30, 40 years later, and it was because of the cumulative damage and the radiation. Now again, hopefully it's not harmful and hopefully it's not going to affect us in America, but there's no guarantee. You don't know the damage that's going to happen, especially with these reactors still going. They're still going. Gases and fumes. And what they didn't tell you about the milk is that, from what I'm reading, this stuff, contamination, is hitting the water supply, and the water and the jet streams go up to Alaska especially. Alaska is where we get a lot of fishing, the Pacific there, and so the fish can get infected, and then you eat the fish, you know, I'm talking the whole food supply can be contaminated. It's been detected in water, some levels of radiation, milk, probably hitting the grasses that the animals eat. You understand what I'm saying? This isn't something that you can't see radiation, you can't smell it, you can't taste it. It's invisible. It's the invisible enemy that can affect you and your quality of life. Hopefully we'll all be okay, hopefully you'll be okay, and I'll be okay, right? But I'm just saying that, could you believe that the stuff in Japan is affecting possibly your life and our lives in America? You know, say what you want about the wars in the Mideast, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. That doesn't affect you if you don't have any military family there. That doesn't affect your health, that doesn't affect your body per se, right? Despite all that whole war stuff. But this, what's happening in Japan, this affects you. This affects you directly. This can affect your quality of life and your health. And it could affect your health long term, 30, 40, 50 years from now, as that elbow example I tried to tell you earlier. And the mainstream media is not going to want to give you something as real as what I'm just saying. You know, you listen to something like Infowars.com, or you listen to some RussiaToday.com, and it's kind of funny. I'm hearing more news on YouTube from Russia Today, that channel, about more stuff that's going on than what I'm hearing in the mainstream American news on the mainstream television networks. Okay? And it just, honestly, it's just fucked up when you think about it, about what could be happening to you and your health decades from now, and who would have think it's what's happening in Japan today. And as I said, whenever you listen to these people who say, oh well, the radiation levels are low and it doesn't affect you, well, tell them the Japanese reactors are still going off as of April 2011, right? And that means they're emitting more fumes and more gases that will hit the ocean, hit the fish, the sea life, the air life, and get passed over into America until you close those reactors. And as they tell you, just the last topic to think about, when they say, oh, it's low level, don't worry about it. Well, would you rather be drinking water, milk, and fish that have no radiation, or would you rather be drinking water, milk, and eating fish that have radiation in trace amounts? You choose. You choose. No radiation food, or radiation food in trace amounts. And you get to decide which you want. Tell that to the mainstream news. Tell that, which do you want? Thanks for watching, and hopefully subscribe, bringing you raw truth, what I really feel about the topic, and just being real with you. And hopefully if you subscribe, that's what you like, just being real, no smokescreen, no being all happy and whitewashing the news, but just real emotion and real thoughts. And that's what you get in these videos. Thanks for watching.